I want to list and share at least 10 things that everybody should know about Muhammad. Let's start. Number 10. Muhammad is not the god of Islam, but he is definitely a sex god. Okay, not really a sex god, more like a sex enthusiast or a sex addict, I don't know. According to the most authentic reports, Muhammad had 9 or 11 wives at once. The Quran itself says that you may marry the women that you like, 2, 3, or 4, but Muhammad had much more than 4, because the Quran gives special privileges to Muhammad, such as that women could simply give themselves to him and he could marry them. Even his wife Aisha commented that she does not understand how women can just give themselves to him, and that Allah seems to care a lot about Muhammad's convenience and desires. His first marriage was to a woman who was 15 years older than him, because she was his employer and supporter, but after her death, he could just not get enough of women. Number 9. The child marriage. One very controversial fact about Muhammad is that he reportedly married a little girl when she was only 6 and consummated the marriage with her when she was only 9, meaning he had sexual intercourse with her when she was only 9 years old. Some modern Muslims want to doubt the authenticity, but those reports are not doubted unless you want to doubt the authenticity of Islamic scripture altogether. Muhammad is taught to be the most perfect human being to ever walk the face of the earth, to be globally followed, obeyed, and imitated. The fact that he married and had sex with a little child makes this very problematic. Number 8. He was a slave master. Although Muslims in modern times romanticize Muhammad as somebody who gave slaves better rights and emancipated slaves, that is a very new perspective and actually a distortion of who Muhammad was. Slavery and the slave market were always a big part, a core part of Muslim society, and Muhammad never ended or intended to end slavery. In fact, if we search through Islamic traditions about Muhammad and slavery, what we see is predominantly that Muhammad kept, bought, and sold slaves, picked out slaves, took or distributed female slaves for sexual pleasure, and even advised gifting a slave to someone else instead of freeing a slave. What is true is that a certain early Muslim, Bilal, was a slave and that he was bought and freed by the Muslims because he converted to Islam and he was asking for help. What is also true is that Muhammad and the Quran make it a good deed or an atonement for sins to free a slave. But just because freeing a slave is a good deed or an atonement in exchange for sin, that doesn't mean that slavery is considered bad and that people are obligated to free slaves. Muhammad is the best example of Islam, according to Islam, and he certainly did not have a problem with the idea of the ownership of humans over other humans. Muhammad's strange state of revelations. The Islamic belief is that Muhammad was a messenger, a prophet of Allah, and that he would receive inspirations from Allah through the angel Gabriel. Muhammad would then recite those revelations that he supposedly received to the people around him, who would orally memorize them or write them down. The authenticity of all that aside for now, how Muhammad got these revelations is a matter of interest. According to the most authentic reports, Muhammad himself described that the inspirations from Allah would sometimes come in what resembles the ringing of a bell, and that this would be very hard for Muhammad. Sometimes the angel would come in form of a man and speak to him, and then he would grasp what was being said to him. According to other reports by his wife and those around him, he would sweat heavily when receiving a revelation. He would be irresponsive and in a trance-like state when receiving revelation. And according to one report, he was laying down, making loud noises like the snorting of a camel. And his loyal follower Umar would cover him during that inspiration. I don't want to make any diagnosis here, but Muhammad's divine revelations were seemingly a very great struggle to him, and resemble the symptoms of certain psychological disorders, which are very distressing and which come with hallucinations and delusions. Muhammad was born in Mecca into a polytheistic tribe that oversaw the pagan temple of the Kaaba, which then was dedicated to a polytheistic god, Hubal. Muhammad did not like his own culture, possibly because he was an orphan and he didn't fit in. Reportedly, he used to go on trade routes to Syria as an early teenager, where he learned about Christians and Jews and their beliefs that he probably looked up to because they were far more advanced, knowledgeable, and civilized than his own people back home. Muhammad declared his own religion based on monotheistic Abrahamic beliefs. But even after declaring his own religion, which was meant to be an Abrahamic religion, he still kept many polytheistic pagan aspects which he adopted from the pre-Islamic Arab polytheists. These are the Kaaba, which turned into the center of Islamic attention, the black stone, which the stone-worshipping polytheists revered, the belief in beings called jinns, and more. But this is a topic that deserves its own entire video.